You're watching Equatorial TV. Let's rock it.
Something is coming. Something big.
Painful childhood lead to a peaceful maturity. The authorities, those sons, daughters, and history itself will remember you if you work for the benefit of these people that you have been called to serve. Future generations will either venerate your names or cancel their memory based on what you now do. For just as the Nile leaves its sources to begin its course, so the course of history will leave behind the enemies of peace and bring renown to those who are true peacemakers. Indeed, as the scripture tells us, there is a prosperity for the month of peace. Violence, on the other hand, turns back to the course of history. Herodotus himself spoke of the international disruption brought on by war, when children no longer bury their parents, but parents bury their children. In order that this land may not turn into a cemetery, but become once more a luxurious garden, I beg you with all my heart to accept 4 simple words, not my words, but those of Christ. He himself spoke them in a garden in Gethsemane, went to a disciple of his who had drawn a sword. He cried, "No more of this." Dear President and Vice Presidents, in the name of God, of the God to whom we prayed together in Rome, of the God who is gentle and humble in heart, the God in whom so many people of this beloved country believe, now is time to say no more of this without ifs or buts. No more bloodshed, no more conflicts, no more violence, mutual recrimination about who is responsible for it. No more leaving your people at rest for peace. No more destruction. It is time to build. Leave the time of war behind and let a time of peace dawn. On this, my dear President, let us sing again. This is what we have had in Uganda. There is need for the peace. Let us go ahead on that. Let us go. Let us go on the discussions of the Nile leaving its source and passing through Republic.
Ma che cosa vuol dire essere una res pubblica?
What is the meaning of becoming one republic?
Affermare cioè che
Yet
lo
what does
Stato
it
è
mean?
di tutti.
It means seeing yourself
E
as
dunque
truly public
chi al suo
of the
interno
people. It is a
riscopre
declare
le
that the
responsabilità
state
maggiori,
belongs to everyone,
presiedendolo,
and
governandolo,
consequently those
non può
entrusted
che
with
porsi
greater
al
responsibility.
servizio del bene
Deciding
comune.
on- This
Ecco
is
lo
for
scopo del potere,
the service of the
servire
common
la
good.
comunità.
That is the
La
purpose of power.
tentazione è sempre in agguato e invece di servirsene
There is
per i propri
temptation
interessi.
that we
Non basta
always
perciò
want to serve
chiamarsi
for
repubblica,
one's own.
occorre esserlo, a partire dai beni primari, le abbondanti risorse con
It
cui
is
Dio ha
necessary,
benedetto questa terra,
one starting with
non
the primary
siano
goods.
riservati
The
a
abundant resources with
ma
which God has blessed
appannaggio
this
di
land
tutti,
should not be
e
restricted
ai
to a few,
piani di
but
ripresa
recognized
economica
legacy,
corrispondano progetti
and plans for economic
di
recovery
un'equa
should
distribuzione
coincide
delle ricchezze.
with proposals for an equitable distribution of wealth.
Fondamentale per la vita di una repubblica è lo sviluppo
growth of
democratico. Esso
The growth of
tutela la
sound
benefica
democracy is
distribuzione
essential
dei
to
poteri,
life of the
così
republic.
che ad esempio
It preserves
chi
the
amministra
health
la
distinction
giustizia
of powers,
possa
such as
esercitarla
way
senza
that, for example,
condizionamenti
those
da
who
parte di
administer
chi
justice
desidera governo.
can do so
La
without
democrazia
interference from
presuppone
those who
inoltre il
just
rispetto
is in
dei
the
diritti
government.
umani custoditi dalla legge e dalla sua
Democracy
applicazione,
presupposes
in
respect
particolare
for human
la
rights
libertà di esprimere
upheld
le
by
proprie
law
idee.
and application of law,
Occorre infatti
particularly the right
che
to
senza
the freedom
giustizia
of
non è
it should
pace,
be
non c'è pace.
in mind that
Ma
there is no
anche
peace
senza
without
libertà
justice.
non c'è giustizia. Va perciò
Without
data a ogni
freedom,
cittadina e
there is no
cittadino la
justice.
possibilità di
But also
disporre del dono
that there
unico
is
e
no justice.
irripetibile dell'esistenza
Every
con i
citizen,
mezzi
therefore,
adeguati a
should be
realizzarlo.
enabled to make
Come scriveva
the
Papa
most of the
Giovanni,
unique
ogni essere
and
umano ha
unbeatable
il
gift
diritto
of his or
all'esistenza,
her life
all'integrità
and be
fisica,
provided with
ai
suitable
mezzi
means of doing.
corresponsabili
In the
e
words of
mezzi
Pope
sufficienti per un
John Paul
dignitoso tenore di vita.
23, every human being the right to life,
Il
a
fiume
bodily
Nilo,
integrity.
lasciate le sorgenti,
The
dopo aver
Nile, leaving its
attraversato alcune
sources
zone
and passing through
scoscese che
some
creano
uneven
cascate
terrain,
rapide,
in
una
creates
volta entrato
waterfalls
nella
and
pianura
rapids,
sud-sudanese,
enters the South Sudanese
proprio nei
plain
pressi di Giuba,
and near Juba
diventa navigabile,
becomes navigable.
per poi addentrarsi in
Before
zone più
entering more
faticose.
boggy areas, in a similar
Analogamente
way,
auspico che il transito di
I
pace
trust
della
that
Repubblica
the
non
Republic's
proceda
path
ad alti e bassi,
to peace
ma a partire di
will not proceed unevenly, but starting from this capital, will take a course that can be navigated and not to be pushed down by inertia. Dear friends, it is time to move from words to deeds. It is time to turn to the page. It is time for commitment to an urgent and much needed transformation. The process of peace and reconciliation requires a new start. May an understanding be reached and progress be made in moving forward with the peace accord and roadmap. In a world scared by divisions and conflict, this country is hosting an ecumenical pilgrimage of peace, which is something rare. It represents a change of direction, an opportunity for South Sudan to resume whaling in calm waters, taking up dialogue without duplicity and opportunism. May it be on everyone an occasion to revive home. Let its citizens understand that the time has come to stop being carried along by the tainted waters of hatred, tribalism, regionalism, ethnic difference. It is time to sail. It is time to sail together towards the future. Together, together. Let us not forget this word, together. The course of the great river can also suggest a way to move forward. Along its way, the Nile joins. The Nile joins another river at Lake No, forming the so-called White Nile. It is transparently clear waters, then arise from an encounter. This is the path to take, to respect one another, to get to know one another, and to engage in dialogue. Behind every form of violence, there is anger and resentment. And behind every form of anger and resentment, there is an unhealthy memory of wounds, humiliation, and wrongs. It follows that the only way to bring free, and this is through encounter, by accepting others as our brothers and sisters and making room for them even. This attitude, which is essential for any peace process, is also indispensable for the coexist development of society. In the passage from the barbarity of confrontation to a culture of vital encounter, young people have a decisive role to play. Consequently, they should be provided with the open space. May they fearlessly take hold of future, which is then too women. May women, mothers who know how life is generated and safeguarded, need to be increasingly involved in political life of decision-making process. Women need to be respected. For anyone who commits an act of violence towards a woman commits it towards God who took flesh from women. Neighbor as a brother, sister, the great rebellion. The young history of this country, torn by ethnic clashes, needs a discover of mystic of encounter, the grace of whole. There is a need to look beyond grounds and differences in order to journey as one people, which, as in the Nile, is enriched by the contribution of its various tributaries. It was precisely by the river. And a century ago, the first missionaries to the shores of follow over by many humanitarian workers. I want to thank all of them. Let us not forget. Let us not forget to guarantee them. I want to thank. Let us not forget the security and support they need for their charitable works. A great river, however, can at times overflow and cause disasters. Tragically, this has been the experience of many victims of floods in this country. I express the closeness to them. Natural disasters tell a tale of nature that is battered and wounded, and from being a source of life. We need the foresight to care for creation for the sake of future generations. I think in particular of the need to combat the deforestation caused by profiteering. To prevent a river from flooding, it is best has to be kept clean, leaving behind the metaphor. The cleaning needed by the flow of life in society is represented by the